I want you to start talking.
I have to go,
You're weird.
Oh, it's recording.
What's up, guys? I hope you enjoyed the many faces of Taylor there. If you are checking this video out, you might have just watched our full cheer hair tutorial. This is the part 2 of this little series that we're doing. Now, I recorded most of this for all my cheer moms that I'm friends with and the cheer moms out there who are sometimes struggling with Allstar cheer hair and makeup. So this is geared more towards that. Obviously, I do the makeup on Taylor today a little different than what I would normally do on myself. If you would like to see how we got this makeup look, then just keep watching. Okay guys, now we're gonna move on to makeup. So this is Taylor's beautiful natural face. Of course, in competitive cheer, we can't just leave our faces blank because when those stage lights hit, it's going to wash out all their pretty features. So that is why we need makeup in competitive cheer, in dance, in anything like that. Let's get started. I always start with the eyes first, not the foundation, not the face, because we're gonna have some fallout from the shadows and stuff that we use. So we do not want it to fall out on the face. That's why I say that. So Taylor, she is a little bit dry around her nose. I'm gonna take a hydrating primer and just put that on her dry spots. Please do not. Make sure that's all nice and rubbed in there. So her foundation lasts, doesn't start flaking. And then for the other areas of the face, I don't want to put a hydrating primer all over because she's not dry anywhere else other than her nose. But it's good to use primers, especially for events like this, because it's going to make that foundation last longer. So that's going to give the foundation a good sticky base and not fade away. This is the e.l.f. green primer. Just because Taylor tends to get red a little bit easier, green counteracts red, so that's why I felt the need for a green primer. They have all different kinds. They're very inexpensive. You can get them at your local Walmart, CVS, any drugstore. Major step in doing your eye makeup is to always prime your eyes. So what I use, close your eyes, what I use to prime eyes is concealer, a good full coverage concealer. There's no need to have to buy an eyeshadow primer. You can use a concealer. Okay. And this is just gonna make sure that that beautiful shadow and glitter that we put on her is going to last all throughout the day. I'm going to take a setting powder. Closure. Or you could even just use like a bone colored eyeshadow just to set that concealer in place. If you did not set it, your shadows would not go on as smooth. Now we're gonna move to eyes.
Ooh, pretty.
Just taking a palette that I have. This is the JACLYN Hill palette. Of course, any palette with the shadows of your team or your choice is fine to use. Now with Taylor in her competitive cheer, her colors are
Purple and gold.
Her colors are purple and gold. However, I'm not going to put purple eyeshadow all over her eyes. I just like to keep it more neutral and do more brown tones and kind of smoke out the edge with some black, and then I put gold glitter. So if you want to do more colors, feel free to. This is just how I do her makeup. I'm just gonna start out with just a light brown. And I'm using a large fluffy eyeshadow brush. This one happens to be from COLOURPOP.
I'm gonna film.
And I'm just gonna slowly build that color up. I'm not gonna stick my brush in there and grab too much product at once, because then it's harder to blend out when you do that. Now with that same brush, same fluffy brush, I'm just taking a little bit darker, more medium brown tone shadow and just putting it in that crease again. Close. Just to kind of build it up, add some dimension to the eye. I'm gonna take a little bit smaller brush, and this is a crease brush by COLOURPOP. It's not as fluffy, it's a little bit more dense. And I'm just gonna grab a deep chocolate brown. Close your eyes. And I'm going to go into her crease right here and just feather that in. And just start to darken it. Because we don't want a big old panda eye. We just want to kind of
darken this outer crease and just kind of lightly feather that color to the inner corner. I just take my blending brush and I just go over that, just the first brush that we use that's more fluffy, and just and just make sure that there's no crazy lines. Now we're going to start darkening that eye up a little bit more and adding some darkness just to this outer crease. And I'm just drawing like a V shape. If you can kind of see that, close your eye. I'm going down and then flicking it up. Triangle V shape. So I'm just going to go back and forth with some of those colors until the eye starts looking how I want it to. It looks much better when you add a few colors versus just putting a solid black in that outer corner and then your glitter. Now I'm going to take my pencil brush, and this just means the brush comes to a point like a pencil would. That way I can really focus that darkest black shadow just in this outer corner, because I don't want it feathering all out over the rest of the eye. Otherwise it's going to be muddy and too dark looking. Close. Same thing, just build that V up. Okay. And you can kind of give it a little bit of a point right there in the corner of her eye. That just gives it that cat eye effect and elongates her eyes. And it's okay if you get a little bit of fallout right under here. We're going to clean that up in just a little bit. This is why we did not do the face first. And now I'm just going to take my blending brush and just kind of blend that just a little bit. So as you can see, the dark is just on the outer corner and just barely flicked up. Close your eyes. Just like that. Now we're going to go ahead and add our glitter. What I'm using today is the Stila Magnificent Metals Glitter and Glow Liquid Eyeshadow. And this is by far the easiest thing I have found to use for competitive cheer. It comes in a little bottle like this, and it's not messy at all. It will not fall out on their face. So when I get ready to do this, I'm going to take just a flat synthetic brush that I use to put on my lid colors. And I'm going to tap this a few times on their lid, and I'm going to use my brush to smooth the product out. And it looks just like glitter, which is why I love this stuff. No glue required. So after I've got that kind of on, I'm going to take my brush and just kind of move that product around to where it kind of gets in the inner corner right there. I'm going to add just a little bit more. I don't want to cover up that whole black corner eye, so I'm just going to kind of lightly feather that in. And then I'm going to take my shadow and blend it back in just a second. We're just going to take that brush, our blending brush, and we're just going to go a little bit over the shadow. Just blending that, and then we're going to take the pencil brush that already has that black shadow on it and just flick that over that glitter. So there's no harshness between the glitter meets the black corner eye. If that makes sense, Taylor? Okay, so now that we have her eyes done, you can see there's a little bit of fallout from where those shadows are. We're just gonna take a makeup wipe, and I'm gonna take my finger like this, open your eye, and just barely clean that up to where that shadow fell, and then just wipe up. And it just kind of creates a little bit of a cat eye right there. Some people can use tape, but this works just as good and gets rid of all that fallout. Now I'm just going in with some black eyeliner on the top of her eye, and now we have that cat eye shadowed out where we made with our tissue. What am I trying to say? What did we use? A makeup wipe. We used a makeup wipe to give it that cat eye look. So that's a nice guideline for where our wing is gonna go with this. Now this is just in NYC. I don't know if they sell this in stores anymore, but you can get, NYX has a liquid liner that is really good also. And Taylor is pretty sensitive when it comes to putting any type of eyeliner on, so I really can't give her too much. We're just gonna do the wing right here. And you can extend that as far as you want or as little as you want. It's up to you and whatever your child will let you do. Now that we've got her wings on, we're just going to do a little mascara because I'm not gonna put lashes on Taylor. She's not very good with them. If your daughter is really good with them, feel free to put those on. But luckily Taylor has pretty long eyelashes, so mascara works just fine for her. So now that we put a little mascara on, what I always like to do is have her close her eyes, and you can see, because her eyelashes are very blonde, she's got a little bit of blonde right there at the base of her eyelashes showing. So I'm just going to take my eyeliner, close your eye, and I'm just going to run that over where that mascara did not get on her lash. Close. So you can tell a big difference, at least I can, between this one and this one. One thing I like to do in competitive cheer is I like a really strong brow bone highlight. So I'm going to take a white glittery shadow and just run it on the top. Now that we have the eyes done, we're gonna move on to her face to moisturize her lips because we're gonna be using a liquid lipstick. And we wanna make sure her lips are good and moisturized so they don't look too cracky. Too crackly, too cracky. What I'm gonna be using today on Taylor is this Maybelline Matte and Poreless Foundation. And I wanna use a matte foundation because I know she's gonna get sweaty and she's going to be very active today. So I want something that's going to last. Another good foundation to use for competitive cheer is the L'Oreal Infallible. And what I'm using to blend her foundation in is a beauty sponge. I find this is way better than a brush. A brush just kind of moves the foundation all over your face, and a sponge just kind of pushes it into the skin and it makes it look way more airbrushed and smooth rather than just setting on top of the skin looking cakey like a brush would do. And make sure you go down the neck so it's all nice and blended. And I use these sponges damp. I squeeze this underneath this the faucet a few times and wring out the excess water. And this just picks up the extra foundation so it doesn't apply too much on the skin. Now we're gonna move on to concealer. The reason I use concealer is it just brightens up the under eye. And it doesn't leave their entire face looking one shade. That's the reason that I highlight, and then we'll bronze up her skin so she doesn't look super ghostly. And I use the same sponge to blend it out. Now that we have her concealer on and she's brightened up underneath her eyes and on her face, we're gonna set that just like we did her eyeshadow. A little bit of translucent setting powder. That way the concealer does not move around and get cakey and creasy, and it lasts. Okay. So now that I've got that set, I'm just gonna set her whole entire face with this. So this foundation stays put through all the sweating and lasts her all competition. Now we're going to bronze her skin, add some color back on her face. And what I'm using today is the Butter Bronzer by Physicians Formula. I really, really love this one. It's not too orangey.
And my sound officially cut out on me for some reason, so I will be doing a voiceover for the rest of the video. So I'm just putting that bronzer all over her cheeks, her forehead, and I'll put a little bit down her neck. And then I'm just taking my contour palette and doing a little bit of contouring on her temples and under her cheekbones, just so those facials can really come through. And I'm getting my translucent powder now, and I'm just cleaning that up because I don't want that contour or bronzer to go too far down on her cheeks. This really just cleans it up, puts it in the right place. And again, I'm using my beauty blender to do this. So not only can you use it for your foundation, your concealer, you can also use it to do this as well. It's a good little tool to have. And we're not really going to let that set too long. I'm just going to take a big powder brush and just kind of dust that off her face here in a second. And she's making funny faces again. This is all she does. She has fun with it though. And of course we have to add some blush to the cheeks. Now I really don't go with like a super hot pink color. This is more of a dusty rose color, just to make those cheeks pop a little bit more. And I take my little beauty blender and just kind of dab a little bit so it's not too close to her mouth. I just want that blush to kind of stay on the apples of the cheeks. Alright, now that we had a little dance break with Taylor, we are moving back to the makeup. We're going to do some highlighter on her cheeks. Sorry. This is my favorite part about doing my makeup, and this is Taylor's favorite part too. So highlighter, most everybody knows what that is. It's going to make those cheeks, I said pop before, but it's really going to pop now. And I always dust a little bit on the nose too. So when them lights hit, bam, they're going to be shining. And I'm just dabbing my beauty blender over that highlight just so it's not a big harsh line. It's just blended into the skin. Moving on to eyebrows. Some girls don't need this. Taylor, as you can see, does, because her eyebrows are so light, same as her eyelashes. So I always put a little bit of a auburn color on to match her hair again, so her facials will pop. I always take the spoolie and kind of run it over just so it's a little bit more softer and not so harsh looking. But as you can see, there's a big difference between one side and the other. Now we're just going to finish things up and move on to lips, and then I dust a little bit of black underneath her eyes, and I put a little bit of inner corner highlight. When she opens her eyes, you'll see it. These are from ColourPop. I'll list the names down below. And then I go ahead and set her face with the Urban Decay All Nighter. She hates this part. Can't ever be still when I do this. But this is just going to ensure that that makeup is going to last. It's going to stay put. It's not going to sweat off. And it's going to get them through the competition. And boom, that is it. We are done. If you liked this video, please let me know down below. If it helped you at all, if you happen to miss our cheer hair tutorial, I will link that down below and right here. So you can click on that and watch it. And thank you so much for coming to my channel. Like, subscribe, share, and I will see you guys next time. Have a great week. Bye guys.